Let me tell you a quick, short, interesting story. So there's this one time that I had no job. You know, a point in time when you want to go to just going to town, CBD. You have to make a phone call or two. Hey, might you have 100, 150? Can you spot me 200? Any small thing you want to do in your life, you're so broke that you have to reach out to people. And it's very frustrating. Some of you were once there, some of you are there. And so what I did, because it was very frustrating, I just prayed to God. I said, please God, bless me so that I can come out of this place. And when I slept, I had a very interesting dream. In this dream, I was standing on Mars, the fourth planet from the sun. And as the dream proceeded, I floated from the planet Mars, cruised through space all the way into Earth until I settled my feet on the Earth. So I wrote down the dream. I have this habit of every dream I have, whether it makes sense or not, whether it was a demonic attack or angelic advice, it doesn't matter. I write down all my dreams, because if it's an attack, I'll wake up, pray against it. If it's something good, I'll write it on the side and pray for it. So I wrote it down. Makes sense or not, I just wrote it down. And in the morning, I don't know if it was morning, probably in the day, I was like, I dreamt something. Let me go back and look at what I dreamt. So when I'm looking at it, that's when the meaning hit me. Because usually God will give you a dream that you will understand. If you're a pharmacist, the dream might be using elements like whatever, some drugs here and there that someone else might not understand. But either way, here's what my interpretation of the dream was. My interpretation was that Mars represents something desolate. It's a planet that has a very thin atmosphere, if any. It has no greenery, there's no vegetation, there's no water, there's no oxygen, there's no life-supporting elements, and hence there's no life. So in that dream, I perceived Mars to represent poverty and lack. Now, as I cruised all the way to Earth, Earth is the opposite. There's water, there's oxygen, there's animals, there's all these things that God has put there. Earth is where all the provision is. So for me, Mars represented poverty, Earth represented provision. But I had to cruise from Mars to Earth, right? So I just did 2 and 2. Usually, if NASA is sending a probe or anything over to Mars, they'll wait until such a time when both planets are aligned. Because then your window of launching from Earth to Mars is just 7 months, as opposed to when they're on the opposite sides of the sun. So in my interpretation of the dream, what I wrote was that God is telling me, in 7 months' time, I'll move you from a place of lack to a place of provision. Guess what happened? 7 months later, I got my first job at Optica. I was working as a sales guy selling specs. It was my first ever job, because prior to that, I had a company which died during COVID. Then I hustle, transitioned now into that. Now, when I went for that interview, and this is why I usually say when God's time comes, even you yourself, you can't stop it. I was called for that interview. I had traveled up country, so I was traveling back, let's say today, and tomorrow is the interview. So I have no time to do any research. When was the company formed? What are the main items they sell? What is their history? What is their motto? I knew none of that. Yet they were asking those things. So I walked into the interview, and the CRO, those who've been in Optica can attest, is called Wazim Mohammed. He looks at me and says, first thing, where did you buy those spectacles? Because I had spectacles which were not from that company. The ones I had were from, was it Baus or Lions? I can't remember, one of the two. So he asked me, where did you get those spectacles? I told him the truth. I got them from Lions or Baus, whichever of the two it was. And he said, why are you getting your spectacles from Lions? And you're coming to look for a job here at Optica. Now, I got so worried, I just fell into temptation and I lied. I told him I was in university, I was under my mom's insurance cover, which is AAR, and we could only get our optical services at Lions. That's why I had to go to Lions and I couldn't get my spectacles from here. Do you know I ended up getting the job? Why? Amongst the insurance that Optica does not take at the time, I don't know if they do today, is AAR. They don't accept AAR insurance. So when this guy is listening to me, he's thinking, this guy is very knowledgeable about insurance, and that is going to touch on his job. When I was just speaking gibberish, not even knowing that this is actually company policy, and what I'm telling him is what they will tell me as part of my training. So when God's time comes, nobody can stop it. 7 months from the time I had the dream, I got the job. Literally 7 months. So those of you who are watching and you're in a fix, you're broke, you can pray to God and that can change. The only tricky thing which I will warn you is waiting is not easy. You can be given a prophecy, or even you can just meet a prophet, and hopefully a legitimate, real prophet, not the one selling hocus pocus, and he tells you, very soon you're going to go to Canada. Hey, it's 2 months, 4 months, 6 months. It's easy kufa moyo. It happened to me during that 7 months. But nonetheless, since God said 7 months, it took 7 months. But that's just my experience. Guys, do let me know your own experience in the comment section below. Have you ever been in a financial fix and God took you out of it? Just type out your experience. Guys will be reading it. I will be reading them. I like reading and also hearing what you people have to say. Now, if you'd like to get more content of this nature, you can follow the platform on YouTube at High Altitude Ministries or on TikTok, and you'll be getting more content of this nature. My name is David Wafula, and that's it from me for now. Tata.